Hyun-Soo Kim looked out the small window of his shuttle as it moved toward the massive alien ship. The ship was bigger than any city he had ever seen. It hung in space above Earth like a dark mountain, blocking out the stars behind it. "First time seeing one of their ships?" asked the pilot, a young woman named Ji-won Park. "Yes," Hyun-Soo said quietly. The pictures did not show how big it really is. He was Earth's top ambassador. For 30 years he had solved problems between countries, but today was different. Today he was going to meet aliens for the first time in human history. 3 days ago, the ship had appeared in Earth's sky. No warning, no message. It just came out of nowhere and stopped above the planet. Then yesterday they had sent a message in perfect English. "Send your leader to speak with the Galactic Council." Earth's president, So-Jin Park, had chosen Hyun-Soo to go instead. "You are the best we have," she had told him. "If anyone can handle this, it's you." Now, as his shuttle got closer to the alien ship, Hyun-Soo felt small. Very small. The shuttle docked with a soft bump. Hyun-Soo took a deep breath and stepped through the airlock. The inside of the ship was nothing like he expected. The walls were smooth and white. Lights moved along the ceiling like water. The air smelled strange, like metal and flowers mixed together. "Ambassador Kim," a voice said behind him. Hyun-Soo turned around. The alien was tall, maybe 8 feet. Its skin was blue-gray and it had 4 arms. Its eyes were black and seemed to look right through him. "I am Veltar, Chancellor of the Galactic Council," the alien said. Its mouth did not move when it spoke. The words came from a small device on its chest. "It is an honor to meet you," Hyun-Soo said, bowing slightly. Veltar did not bow back. "Follow me. We have much to discuss." They walked through long hallways filled with more aliens. Some looked like Veltar. Others were completely different. One had tentacles instead of arms. Another looked like a walking tree. They all stared at Hyun-Soo as he passed. The meeting room was huge. A round table sat in the center with chairs of different shapes and sizes. Hyun-Soo counted 12 other aliens sitting around the table. He was given a simple human chair. "Humans of Earth," Veltar began, standing up. "You are new to this galaxy. You do not understand how things work here. Today you will learn." Hyun-Soo stayed quiet and listened. "For 10,000 years the Galactic Council has kept peace in this galaxy. We have rules. All species must follow these rules. The most important rule is tribute." "Tribute?" Hyun-Soo asked. "Payment," Veltar explained. "Every species must give the Council what we need. Resources, workers, technology. This is how we keep peace." One of the other aliens, a creature that looked like a giant insect, spoke up. "Your species is young and weak. You have only just learned to travel in space. You need our protection." "Protection from what?" Hyun-Soo asked. "From chaos," Veltar said. "From war. From yourselves. The galaxy is a dangerous place. The Council keeps order." Veltar pressed a button on the table. A hologram appeared in the air above them. It showed Earth, slowly spinning. "Your world is rich," Veltar continued. "Good soil, clean water, many metals. And you have 7 billion people. The Council needs these things." The hologram changed. Now it showed numbers. Big numbers. "You will give us 75% of your resources. Oil, gold, food, everything. You will also give us 50% of your people. They will work for us on other worlds. Your smartest people will share all your technology with us." Hyun-Soo felt his heart racing. "You want us to give you half our people?" "Not give. Share. They will be well treated. They will have good lives serving the Council." "What if we say no?" Hyun-Soo asked quietly. The room went very quiet. All the aliens stared at him. Some made strange noises that might have been laughter. "No species has ever said no to the Council," Veltar said. "But if they did, we would have to pacify them." "Pacify?" "Remove the threat to galactic peace. Your species would be managed, controlled completely. No freedom, no choices. It would not be pleasant." The insect-like alien spoke again. 17 species have needed pacification in the past. They are all very obedient now. What is left of them? Hyun-soo felt cold. What happened to the other species? They learned to follow the rules, Veltar said simply. Some faster than others. The hologram changed again. This time it showed other worlds. Empty cities, broken buildings, a few small groups of aliens working in fields watched by council guards. You have 72 hours to decide, Veltar said. Agree to our terms, or we will make the choice for you. This is how it has always been. This is how it will always be. Hyun-soo looked around the table at all the alien faces staring at him. Some looked bored. Others seemed hungry, like they were waiting for him to refuse so they could fight. I need to return to Earth to discuss this with my government, Hyun-soo said. Of course, Veltar agreed. But remember, human, the Council has been doing this for 10,000 years. We have never failed. We have ships. We have weapons you cannot imagine. We have the power to turn your sun cold or make your oceans boil. Your choice is simple. Serve willingly or serve unwillingly. As Hyun-soo was led back to his shuttle, his mind was racing. He had to warn Earth. They had to prepare. But prepare for what? How do you fight beings who claim they can turn off the sun? The flight back to Earth seemed to take forever. When Hyun-soo finally landed, he was rushed immediately to see President Seo-jin Park. She was waiting in the Situation Room with her top advisors. What did they want? She asked before he even sat down. Everything, Hyun-soo said. They want everything we have. He told them about the tribute demand, about the threats, about the 17 species that had been pacified. By the time he finished, everyone in the room looked pale. Defense Minister Tae-ho Lee spoke first. Our military is strong, but we have never fought in space before. And if they really have the weapons they claim, we need to contact every nation on Earth, President Park said. This is not just Korea's problem. This threatens all of humanity. Science advisor Mi Young-choi had been quiet during the meeting. Now she spoke up. There may be options they do not know about, projects we have been working on in secret. What kind of projects? The president asked. The kind we hoped we would never need, Mi Young said quietly. Outside, news of the alien ship was spreading across the world. Some people were excited about first contact. Others were afraid. None of them knew that in 71 hours and 36 minutes, humanity would have to give an answer that would change everything. As Hyun-soo looked up at the night sky, he could see the alien ship hanging above them like a dark star. Soon, the whole world would know what it wanted. And soon, humanity would have to decide what it was willing to give up to survive. 48 hours had passed since Hyun-soo Kim returned from the alien ship. The world had not slept since then. President Seo-jin Park stood at the window of the Global Emergency Assembly building in Geneva. Outside, she could see thousands of people holding signs and candles. Some signs said, "Give them what they want." Others said, "Fight back." Most just said, "Help us." Inside the building, representatives from every nation on Earth sat together. It was the largest gathering of world leaders in human history. They had all come to decide humanity's future. The session will now begin, announced Secretary General Woo Jin-han. President Park walked to the podium. Every eye in the room was on her. Cameras broadcast her image to billions of people around the world. My fellow humans, she began. 3 days ago, we learned we are not alone in the universe. We learned there are thousands of species among the stars. We also learned that we are in great danger. She pressed a button, and a hologram appeared above the assembly. It showed the alien ship still hanging in Earth's orbit. The Galactic Council demands that we give them most of our resources and half of our people. They say this is normal. They say all species must do this. They say we have no choice. Angry voices filled the room. Some delegates shouted in languages Park could not understand, but she knew they were afraid. I have spent the last 2 days learning everything I can about this council, Park continued. What I found is not good news. The hologram changed. Now it showed data that Intelligence Director Subin Lim had gathered. The Council rules over 400 species. Of those, only 12 sit on their ruling council. The rest are slaves in all but name. They work, they obey, they have no freedom. Prime Minister Chen Wei of the Asian Federation stood up. What about the species that were pacified? What happened to them? Defense Minister Tae-ho Lee answered. We found records. The Council has completely destroyed 17 civilizations. Their worlds are empty now except for work camps. The survivors are kept alive only to serve the Council. The room grew very quiet. But we also found something else, Science Advisor Mi Young Choi said, standing up. Something the Council does not know about. She pressed another button. The hologram now showed images of construction sites hidden on Mars, on the Moon, and in asteroid belts. For the past 20 years, we have been preparing for this day. Not for aliens specifically, but for any threat that might come from space. We have built ships, we have built weapons, we have built defenses. Gasps filled the room. Even President Park looked surprised. You built weapons without telling us? Demanded President Martinez of the Americas Union. We built hope, Mi Young replied. Every nation contributed without knowing what for. The Mars mining project? It built ships, the moon research stations. They are weapons platforms. The asteroid mining operations? They are military bases. Commander Dongwu Kang stepped forward. He was tall and serious, with scars on his hands from years of military service. We have been studying alien technology for 70 years, he said, ever since we found their crashed ship in the Sahara Desert. We reverse-engineered their engines, their weapons, their computers. We are not as weak as the Council thinks. The room erupted in noise. Delegates argued in dozens of languages. Some were angry they had been kept in the dark. Others wanted to know why this information had been secret. President Park raised her hand for silence. The secrecy was necessary. If other nations knew what we had found, there would have been wars. But now we face a threat to all humanity. Now we must decide together. President Okafor of the African Alliance spoke up. What are our chances if we fight? Commander Kang looked grim. Unknown. We have better ships than they expect, but they have been fighting for 10,000 years. They have more ships, more experience, more weapons. What are our chances if we surrender? Asked Prime Minister Singh of the Indian Commonwealth. 0, Hyun-Soo Kim said quietly. If we give them what they want, we stop being human. We become their property. Our children become their workers. Our grandchildren will not even remember what freedom means. The debate went on for hours. Some delegates argued for negotiation. Maybe they could offer less tribute. Maybe they could bargain for better terms. Others wanted to surrender completely. Better to live as slaves than die as free people. But slowly, a different voice began to grow stronger. My grandfather fought against fascists in World War II, said President Volkov of the Russian Republic. He told me that some things are worth dying for. Freedom is one of them. My people were slaves for 300 years, added President Jackson of the African states. We know what it means to lose freedom. We know what it costs to get it back. Every nation here has fought for independence at some point, said Prime Minister O'Brien of the Celtic Federation. We did not come this far as a species to give up now. As the sun set outside the Assembly Hall, President Park called for a preliminary vote. Not a final decision, but a sense of what humanity wanted to do. The results were not close. 193 nations voted to resist. Only 4 voted to surrender. The rest abstained. We have our answer, Park said. But before we make it official, I want everyone to understand what this means. She activated one final hologram. This one showed Earth's cities, its farms, its forests, children playing in parks, families eating dinner together, students in classrooms, workers building homes. This is what we are fighting for. Not just our lives, but our way of life. Our right to choose our own path. Our right to be human. The room was completely silent now. The Council expects us to be afraid. They expect us to beg. They expect us to offer them everything we have in exchange for mercy they will never give. Park paused and looked around the room at every face. Instead, we are going to give them something they have never received before, something no species has ever given them. She walked to the communications panel. Around the world, billions of people watched on their screens. I am now opening a channel to the Galactic Council ship, she announced. A hologram of Chancellor Veltar appeared in the room. The tall alien looked bored. Humans of Earth, your 72 hours are almost over. What is your decision? President Park looked up at the alien's image. Behind her, every human delegate stood up. Outside, millions of people held their breath. Our decision is final, Park said clearly. We have considered your offer carefully. And? Veltar asked impatiently. Park took a deep breath. The next word she spoke would change human history forever. No. The alien's expression changed. For the first time, he looked surprised. No, Veltar repeated. I do not understand. You are refusing our generous offer? We are refusing your demands, Park replied. We will not give you our resources. We will not give you our people. We will not surrender our freedom. The alien's forearms moved in what might have been anger. Do you understand what you are saying? Do you know what will happen to your species? Yes, Park said simply. We understand perfectly. No species has ever refused the Council. Ever. Then it is time you learned what makes humans different. Veltar leaned forward in his hologram. Different? You are primitives. You have barely left your own planet. You think your small weapons can hurt us? Park smiled. It was not a friendly smile. We think you are about to find out what happens when you threaten the wrong species. The transmission ended. Veltar's image disappeared. In the assembly hall, delegates began to cheer. Outside, crowds of people shouted and sang. Around the world, humans celebrated the first time in their history that their entire species had spoken with one voice. But President Park did not celebrate. She knew the real fight was about to begin. Commander Kang approached her. I will prepare our defenses. Immediately. How long before they attack? Park asked. Hours, maybe less. They will want to punish us quickly to set an example for other species. Park nodded. Then we better get ready to show them that humans do not go quietly into the night. Above them, the alien ship began to glow with a cold blue light. The Council had received humanity's answer. Now they would give their reply. 12 hours after humanity said no to the Galactic Council, space around Earth exploded with activity. Commander Jin Woo Nam watched his screens from the bridge of the UES Defiance, hidden behind one of Jupiter's moons. Around him, his crew worked quietly at their stations. They had trained for this moment for years, but none of them had really believed it would come. Commander, called his communications officer, Ye Jin Song. We are getting signals from all hidden stations. The Council fleet has arrived. Jinwoo looked at the main screen. 500 ships had just appeared near Neptune. They were arranged in perfect formation, like a wall of steel and death moving toward Earth. How did they get here so fast? Asked his weapons officer Minho John. They probably had ships waiting just outside the solar system, Jinwoo replied. They expected us to surrender. When we didn't, they called in their fleet. On Earth, President Sojin Park stood in the command center deep underground. Around her, dozens of screens showed the approaching enemy fleet. The numbers were not good. 500 ships, reported Defense Minister Tae-ho Lee. Our scouts count at least 50 of their big dreadnoughts. Each one is 5 times larger than our biggest ship. How many ships do we have? Park asked. 123 combat ships, answered Commander Dongwoo Kang, plus about 60 support vessels. We are outnumbered 4-1. Science advisor Mi Young Choi looked up from her computer. Our ships are faster and more maneuverable. Our weapons use technology they have never seen before, but their ships have thicker armor and bigger guns. Park nodded. It will have to be enough. Give the order. Operation Free Sky is now active. Across the solar system, hidden bases came to life. On Mars, hangar doors opened to reveal sleek human ships. On the moon, weapon platforms powered up. In the asteroid belt, mining stations transformed into military fortresses. The Council fleet moved toward Earth with confidence. They had done this many times before. Primitive species always fought back at first. It never lasted long. Chancellor Veltar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Justice. His forearms were crossed as he watched Earth grow larger on the screen. "How long until we reach their planet?" he asked. 6 hours at current speed, his navigator replied. "Begin the bombardment as soon as we are in range. Target their major cities first. When they see their homes burning, they will surrender." "Chancellor," his sensor officer called out, "we are detecting some unusual readings." "What kind of readings?" "Energy. Signatures. Coming from multiple locations throughout the system. I think they have hidden ships." Veltar made a sound that might have been laughter. "Hidden ships? These primitives think they can surprise us? How many?" "Difficult to tell. Maybe 100. 100 ships against 500. This will be over quickly." But as the Council fleet passed Neptune, something unexpected happened. Commander Jin Woo Nam had been waiting for this moment. His ship, the UES Defiance, was not like any ship the Council had ever seen. It was built with human engineering and alien technology. But it had something else. It had human creativity. "All ships," Jinwoo announced over the radio. "This is Defiance Actual. Execute hammer strike." Suddenly, human ships appeared from everywhere. They had been hiding behind asteroids, inside ice clouds, even in the shadows of planets. They moved fast, faster than anything the Council expected. The first attack hit the Council's rear guard. Human ships fired weapons that bent space itself. The energy beams twisted and curved around the Council ships' shields, hitting them where they were weakest. "Impossible!" Veltar shouted as he watched 3 of his ships explode. "Their weapons are going through our shields." His weapons officer looked confused. "Sir, their energy signatures are not matching anything in our database. It's like they are using our own technology, but changed somehow." "Changed how?" "We don't know, sir. The battle spread across the solar system. Human ships darted between the larger Council vessels like angry wasps. They were smaller, but they moved in ways that made them hard to hit. Captain Minho John piloted his ship, the Soul's Pride, straight at a Council dreadnought. His crew thought he had lost his mind. "Sir, we cannot ram that ship," his co-pilot shouted. "It will destroy us." "Not ram," Minho said with a grim smile. "Deliver a package." At the last second, the Soul's Pride fired all its missiles and turned away. But it was too late. The Council ship's guns tracked the human vessel and fired. The Soul's Pride exploded in a ball of fire. But Minho's missiles had hit their target. The Council dreadnought's shields flickered and died. "For Captain John," Jinwoo Nam called over the radio. "All ships, concentrate fire on the damaged dreadnought." 20 human ships turned their weapons on the Council ship. Without its shields, it lasted only seconds. But the humans were taking losses too. For every Council ship destroyed, they lost 3 of their own. On Earth, Yejin Song was coordinating something the Council had never seen before. She was an engineer, not a soldier, but she had designed Earth's secret weapon. "Quantum disruptors are online," she reported to President Park. "Ready to activate on your command." The quantum disruptors looked like ordinary mining equipment and research stations scattered throughout the solar system. But they were really weapons that could tear holes in space itself. "Wait for my signal," Park said. "We need the Council fleet to be in the right position." The battle continued to rage. Human ships fought with desperate courage, but they were being overwhelmed. The Council had more ships, more experience, and more firepower. Commander Jin Woo Nam's ship was badly damaged. Half his crew was injured. His weapons were nearly empty, but he refused to retreat. "Sir," his communications officer called out, "we are receiving a message from Earth. President Park wants to know if we can hold our position for 10 more minutes." Jinwoo looked at his screens. Council ships were closing in from all sides. 10 minutes might as well be 10 years. "Tell her we'll hold for as long as we can," he said. Chancellor Veltar was growing angry. These humans were fighting harder than any species he had ever faced. They should have surrendered after the first ship was destroyed. Instead, they kept fighting even when they were clearly losing. "How many ships have we lost?" he demanded. 43, sir," his tactical officer replied. "The humans have lost 71. 43 ships? Against these primitives?" Veltar's anger was making his skin change color. "Finish this. I want every human ship destroyed in the next 10 minutes. But as he spoke, something strange began to happen. Space itself started to shimmer around the Council fleet. On Earth, Yejin Song pressed a button. "Quantum disruptors activated," she announced. Across the solar system, hidden devices powered up. They had been disguised as mining equipment, weather stations, and research platforms. But they were really generators that could create tears in the fabric of space. The effect was immediate. Reality twisted around the Council ships. Some vessels were pulled into dimensional rifts and disappeared completely. Others were stretched across space like rubber bands. A few lucky ones were just thrown far away from the battle. In seconds, the Council lost over half their fleet. "What is happening?" Veltar screamed as his own ship shook violently. "Unknown. Weapons, sir, they are tearing holes in space. Our ships are being pulled through into somewhere else." "Impossible. No species has this technology." "Sir, we are detecting massive energy buildups throughout the system. I think they have more weapons we don't know about." Veltar stared at the screens showing his scattered and broken fleet. In one attack, the humans had turned the battle around completely. Commander Jinwoo Nam watched in amazement as Council ships disappeared around him. A few minutes ago he thought he was going to die. Now the enemy was in full retreat. "All human ships," he broadcast. "The Council fleet is broken. Pursue and destroy any ships trying to escape." But even as he spoke, he knew the real battle was just beginning. The Council would not give up easily. They would send more ships, bigger weapons, different tactics. On Earth, President Park allowed herself a small smile. Humanity had won the first battle, but she knew there would be many more fights to come. "Good work, everyone," she announced to the command center. "But stay alert. This was just the beginning." High above the Earth, the Council's mothership hung. In space, damaged but not destroyed, Chancellor Veltar stood on his bridge looking down at the blue planet below. "Prepare a message to the Council headquarters," he ordered. "Tell them we need reinforcements, lots of them." "What should we tell them about the humans, sir?" Veltar was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was filled with something that might have been fear. "Tell them we have found something we have never encountered before. Tell them these humans are not like other species. Tell them we may need to change our plans." The first battle was over. Humanity had survived, but both sides knew the real war was just beginning. 3 months had passed since the first battle, and the war was not going as anyone expected. Chancellor Veltar stood in the emergency council chamber aboard his flagship. Around the curved table sat the leaders of the 12 ruling species. Their holographic forms flickered slightly, showing they were transmitting from across the galaxy. "This is unacceptable," hissed Zektar, the representative of the insect-like hive species. 3 months, and these humans are still fighting. Worse, they are winning. Veltar's 4 arms moved in frustration. They are not just winning battles. They are changing the nature of war itself. Their tactics make no sense. Their weapons break the rules of physics. Their ships appear and disappear like ghosts. Grand Admiral Morvan of the Crystalline Dominion projected battle reports into the center of the table. "Look at these numbers. We have lost over 2,000 ships. They have lost maybe 800. This has never happened before in Council history." "What makes them so different?" asked Elder Yulwin of the energy beings. "They are carbon-based, life forms like many others we have conquered." Chancellor Veltar had been asking himself the same question. "I do not know, but I intend to find out." Meanwhile, on the other side of the galaxy, Dr. Subin Lim was discovering answers that would change everything. Subin had volunteered for the most dangerous mission of the war. While battles raged in space, she had infiltrated the Council's ancient archive world, Keeper's Rest. The planet was a massive library containing the history of every species the Council had ever encountered. She moved carefully through the dark halls, her advanced stealth suit keeping her hidden from Council sensors. The archive stretched for miles underground, filled with data crystals that held 10,000 years of galactic history. "I'm in the predecessor section," she whispered into her communication device. "Beginning search now." Back on Earth, President Sojin Park listened to Subin's reports from the war room. Around her, advisors and generals followed every word. "Be careful," Park said. "If they catch you." "They won't," Subin replied. "But what I'm finding here, it's incredible. The Council has been lying about everything." Subin activated her scanner and began downloading files. The first records she found were about something called the Great War. The Council wasn't always in charge, she transmitted. 10,000 years ago there was another power in the galaxy. They called them the predecessors. She moved deeper into the archives, following data trails like a detective solving an ancient crime. The predecessors were not just another species, Subin continued. They were a coalition of hundreds of different life forms. They believed in freedom, cooperation, and progress. They helped species develop instead of enslaving them. President Park leaned closer to the communication device. "What happened to them?" "The Council destroyed them, but it wasn't easy. The war lasted 3,000 years. The predecessors had technology that the Council couldn't understand." "Sound familiar?" Subin found more files. These ones made her heart race. The predecessors didn't just fight with ships and weapons. They had something the Council feared more than anything else. They had the ability to adapt and innovate at impossible speeds. They could take any technology and make it better. On Earth, science advisor Mi-young Choi was listening to every word. "Subin, can you find any technical data? Weapon designs? Ship blueprints, anything?" "Working on it," Subin replied. "But there's something else, something about their genetics." She downloaded another file. This one was different. It was encrypted with security codes she had never seen before. "I found a file marked Final Protocol," Subin whispered. "It's heavily encrypted, but I think I can break it." While Subin worked in the archives, another discovery was being made much closer to home. Dr. Haewon Shin was Earth's top xenobiologist. She had been studying alien tissue samples recovered from crashed Council ships. But today, she was looking at something much more interesting. "This is impossible," she muttered, staring at her computer screen. Her assistant, Junseo Kim, looked over her shoulder. "What did you find?" "I was comparing alien DNA with human DNA, looking for weaknesses we could exploit in biological weapons. But look at this." She pointed to 2 DNA helixes on her screen. They looked almost identical. The DNA on the left is from a Council soldier. The DNA on the right is human. They should be completely different. We evolved on different worlds, under different stars. "But they look the same," Junseo said, confused. "Not the same, related, very closely related. Like cousins." Haewon ran more tests. The results were the same every time. "Junseo, call President Park immediately. She needs to see this." An hour later, President Park stood in Haewon's laboratory, staring at the same DNA comparisons. "What are you telling me?" Park asked. "Humans and the aliens are genetically related," Haewon explained. "Not just similar. Related, like we came from the same source species millions of years ago." "How is that possible?" "There are only a few ways it could happen. Either there was massive contamination between worlds, which is unlikely, or humans are not originally from Earth." The room went quiet. The implications were staggering. "You're saying humans came from space?" Park asked. "I'm saying human ancestors came from space. Long ago they were seeded on Earth and other worlds. We evolved separately, but we started from the same genetic base." At that moment, Subin's voice crackled over the communication system. She sounded excited and terrified at the same time. "I broke the encryption," she announced. "You need to hear this. The Final Protocol file. It's about something called the Dispersion Project." "What is that?" Park asked. "When the predecessors knew they were losing the war. They had a backup plan. They took genetic samples from their species and sent them to uninhabited worlds throughout the galaxy. The goal was to seed new civilizations that could one day rise up and challenge the Council. President Park felt her heart pounding. Subin, do you see Earth mentioned in those files? Let me check. Yes, here it is. Sol 3, designated as primary seeding world. High probability of successful evolution and technological development. That's Earth. Humans are descendants of the predecessors. The silence in the war room was complete. Everyone stared at each other, trying to process what they had just learned. There's more, Subin continued. The predecessors hid technology caches throughout the galaxy. They're waiting for their descendants to find them. And guess what? We've already found one. Where? Park asked. Mars. The alien crash site we've been studying for 70 years. It wasn't a crash. It was a cache, waiting for us to develop enough to use it. Mi-young Choi spoke up. That explains why our technology works so well against the Council. We're not copying their weapons. We're using weapons designed specifically to fight them. Commander Dongwu Kang had been quiet during the entire conversation. Now he spoke. If this is true, then we are not just fighting for our freedom. We are finishing a war that started 10,000 years ago. Subin's voice came through the communicator again. There's one more thing. The final protocol mentions other seeded worlds, other descendants of the predecessors. If we can find them, we wouldn't be fighting alone, Park finished. Suddenly the war looked very different. Humanity was not just a young species defending its home. They were the inheritors of an ancient legacy, the children of a fallen empire that had fought for freedom across the stars. Subin, download everything you can find, Park ordered, especially locations of other seeded worlds and technology caches. Already working on it, Subin replied. But we have a problem. Council security forces are heading toward the archive. They know someone is here. Can you get out? Maybe. But not with all this data. I need more time. Park made a decision that would change the course of the war. Take the time you need. I'm sending the entire Third Fleet to cover your escape. Ma'am, the Third Fleet is needed to defend Earth. This information is more important than Earth itself. If we can find the other descendants and the hidden technology, we can win this war. Without it, we're just fighting to delay the inevitable. As alarms began to sound on Keeper's Rest, Subin worked frantically to download the remaining files. Each file revealed more secrets about humanity's true origin and their connection to the galaxy's ancient past. The Galactic Council thought they were fighting another primitive species. They had no idea they were facing the return of their greatest enemy. The children of the predecessors had come home, and they were not planning to lose again. 6 months after the war began, President So-Jin Park stood in a place no human had ever been before. She was in the Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Council, on their capital world of Nexus Prime. But she was not there as a prisoner. She was there as a conqueror who chose to show mercy. The massive hall was filled with representatives from hundreds of species. Some had been council slaves for thousands of years. Others were refugees from worlds the council had destroyed. All of them were staring at the human woman who had done the impossible. Fellow citizens of the galaxy, Park began, her words translated into hundreds of languages by advanced computers. 6 months ago, the Galactic Council told humanity to surrender or die. Today, the Council no longer exists. Murmurs filled the hall. Some beings were celebrating, others looked afraid. Change was always frightening, even when it meant freedom. Park continued, but we are not here to replace one tyranny with another. We are here to build something new, something the galaxy has not seen for 10,000 years. Behind her stood the other human leaders who had won the war. Commander Dongwu Kang, now Supreme Admiral of the United Galactic Defense Force. Dr. Mi-young Choi, who had become the galaxy's leading expert on predecessor technology. Ambassador Wu Jin-han, who would help write the new galactic constitution. The war had not been easy to win. Even after discovering their connection to the predecessors, humanity had faced many challenges. The breakthrough had come when Dr. Subin Lim's stolen data led them to other descendant worlds. On a planet called New Haven, They found humans who had been isolated for thousands of years but had developed incredible medical technology. On the desert world of Kethmore, they discovered a species that looked like humans but could survive in any environment. One by one, the descendants of the predecessors had awakened to their true heritage. Each brought unique abilities and technologies. Together, they were unstoppable. The Council had made their final stand at Nexus Prime. Chancellor Veltar had gathered every remaining ship in the galaxy for one last battle. He had been so sure of victory. But the descendants fought with more than weapons. They fought with the memory of their ancestors. They fought for every species the Council had enslaved. They fought for a future where freedom meant more than just a word. When Veltar's flagship finally surrendered, he had asked Park a question that still echoed in her mind. How did primitive species like you defeat us? Park had looked at the broken alien leader and said simply, "We are not primitives. We are your oldest nightmare, returned from the grave." Now, standing in the Council's former seat of power, Park addressed the galaxy. "We could rule you as the Council did," she said. "We have the ships, we have the weapons, we have the power to make you obey." The hall grew very quiet. But that is not who we are. The predecessors did not believe in ruling through fear. They believed in cooperation. They believed that every species, no matter how different, had something valuable to offer. She gestured to the human standing behind her. "We offer you partnership, not slavery. We offer you trade, not tribute. We offer you the chance to grow and develop as you choose, not as we command." An alien that looked like a walking tree raised one of its branch-like arms. Park nodded for it to speak. "What about the species that served the Council willingly?" it asked in a voice like rustling leaves. "What about those who helped oppress others?" Park had expected this question. It was one of the hardest parts of building a new galactic order. "Justice, not revenge," she replied. "Those who committed crimes will face trial. Those who were simply following orders will have the chance to make amends. Everyone deserves the opportunity to build a better future." Another alien spoke up. This one was from the Dominion species, the same race as former Chancellor Veltar. "Why should we trust you?" it demanded. "Your people destroyed our fleets. You killed thousands of our soldiers. How do we know you will not become the next tyrants?" Park looked directly at the Dominion representative. "Because we remember what it was like to be threatened with slavery. Because we know the fear of facing a superior force that wanted to destroy our way of life. We will never do to others what the Council tried to do to us." She paused and looked around the hall at all the different faces and forms of alien life. "But trust is not something that can be demanded. It must be earned. We are prepared to spend years, decades, even generations earning that trust." Admiral Dongwu Kang stepped forward. "The new Galactic Defense Force will be different from the Council's military," he announced. "It will be made up of volunteers from all species. Its job will be to protect, not conquer. It will defend the weak, not oppress them." Dr. Mi Young Choi spoke next. "We are sharing all predecessor technology freely with any species that wants it. Medical advances that can heal diseases, energy systems that can power civilizations without harming planets, transportation that can connect distant worlds." "Why?" asked a small reptilian alien. "Why give away such powerful technology?" Mi Young smiled. "Because knowledge shared is knowledge multiplied. The more we all know, the stronger we all become." The predecessors understood this. That is why they created so many different descendants on so many worlds. Ambassador Wu Jin Han presented the new galactic charter. It was very different from the Council's rules. "Every species has the right to govern itself," he read. "No species may attack or enslave another. All disputes will be settled through negotiation and, if necessary, by neutral arbitrators. Resources will be shared fairly through voluntary trade." The debates went on for days. Some species wanted stronger protections. Others feared the new system would be too weak to maintain order. Humans listened to every concern and adjusted the cool charter accordingly. Finally, the vote was held. Species after species voted to accept the new galactic government. Even many former council loyalists chose to join rather than remain isolated. When the final tally was announced, 847 species had voted yes. Only 23 had voted no. The new galactic commonwealth was born. But perhaps the most important moment came after the official ceremonies were over. Chancellor Veltar, now a prisoner awaiting trial, asked to speak with President Park privately. She agreed to meet him in his cell. "I do not understand your people," the former dictator said. His forearms hung limply at his sides. "You had the power to destroy us completely. Why did you show mercy?" Park sat down across from the alien who had once threatened to enslave humanity. "Because mercy is stronger than cruelty," she replied. "The council ruled through fear for 10,000 years, but that rule ended as soon as someone was willing to say no. A government built on fear will always fall eventually. And you believe your commonwealth will last?" "I believe it has a chance. Not because we are stronger than the council, but because we learned from your mistakes." Veltar was quiet for a long time. When he spoke again, his voice was different. Softer. "What will happen to me?" "You will face trial for your crimes. If you are found guilty, you will serve your sentence. But after that, if you choose, you can help build the new galaxy. Even former enemies can become allies." A year later, Park stood on the observation deck of Unity Station, the new capital of the Commonwealth. Through the massive windows, she could see ships from dozens of different species working together to build something unprecedented. A truly free galactic civilization. Commander Jinwoo Nam, who had survived the war despite impossible odds, joined her at the window. "Do you think we made the right choice?" he asked. "Showing mercy instead of ruling through strength?" Park watched a human ship dock next to an alien vessel. The two crews were working together to deliver medical supplies to a planet recovering from council oppression. "Ask me in 100 years," she said. "But I think our ancestors would be proud." Dr. Eugene Kwan, the Commonwealth's chief historian, was in her office writing the official record of the war. She paused and looked at the last line she had written. When the Galactic Council demanded tribute, they expected submission. Instead, humanity gave them a one-word reply that changed the galaxy forever. That word was no, but the real power was not in refusing to surrender. The real power was in choosing to build something better than what came before. Outside her window, alien children played with human children in the station's parks. Former enemies worked side by side in laboratories and factories. Ships from across the galaxy came and went, carrying trade goods and cultural exchanges instead of weapons and slaves. The predecessors had dreamed of a galaxy where every species could grow and thrive in freedom. 10,000 years after their defeat, their dream had finally come true, and it had started with one simple word: no.